So to properly discuss the economic challenges facing Barbados, we're being joined by the economist Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, how serious is the situation in Barbados right now?
It depends on how you want to look at it. Economically, it's very, very serious. But the good thing is that these elections have brought on a new sense of energy that would at least, as far as I'm concerned, help Barbadians to want to do better by the way of the economy. We've had issues, especially socially, infrastructurally. There was a bit of a sewage, not a bit, but a sewage issue that we had and still is going on. Government has had issues with being able to keep up expenditure, infrastructural expenditure, wage expenditure, and it's been racking up our debt as well. So we're a very in-debt country, top 10 in the world for sure, 150% of GDP. And it's been stifling us. It's been stifling our foreign reserves. And as a small country that depends very heavily on foreign exchange, that's actually problematic. It will curb or inhibit greatly our ability to import and therefore consume items. So economically, we are at a very challenging place, but because of the result, one would hope that this means that a new energy and a new sense of confidence will open up and free up investment to help us continue to propel our economy forward. I'm looking at about 5 years or so, if this energy is consistent and true, about 5 years or so before we see some measurable form of recovery.
Now, Jeremy, you released a Facebook video over the weekend addressing the economy and the misconceptions you felt many of your fellow citizens had. You said they need to not expect prices to go down, that they should concentrate on getting salary increases. And you also said that healing the economy would not take less than 7 years. Is the situation really that dire? And, you know, why you had to have the Facebook video explaining these things to people?
All right, well, let me just first tell you that I've been doing Facebook videos a lot for like 5 years, well, 2 years mainly, and been doing a lot of public engagement. And the reason why is that the former government, I found was very problematic in how they communicated information. And a lot of my citizens, a lot of my fellow men, a lot of my family who might not have been well off or understood how the economy works were being either misguided or just downright not knowing what was going on. So in that line, I decided, well, on Saturday again, I saw an issue where a lot of people thought that Motley coming in, not only would she change or probably help with confidence in the economy, but somehow because of some taxes she wanted to remove, like the dastardly NSRL, that's really been choking the economy thus far.
Jeremy, was the NSRL?
Was a very bad
really quickly, was the NSRL?
Yeah, NSRL. Let's just stick with the acronym for now, because to explain it, National Social Responsibility Levy. It's just a badly applied tax that the former Minister of Finance placed that choked the economy more than he probably expected. But I'll say this much. People are expecting, because she said she wanted to remove it, that prices will go down. But I just wanted to, on Saturday, I think it was when they released that video, explain how in economics prices just don't come down like that. They just don't, especially if you're a small open economy that takes prices. We don't export anything. We don't control prices in any industry. So, you know, when you look at that and how private sectors tend to behave, you can't expect prices to come down. So I also caution Barbadians to treat this time as a very serious time that we should look towards long-term recovery, 7 years or so, 5 to 7 years. But more importantly, I said, well, look, stop focusing on the issue of prices coming down, because that's out of your control. That depends on Donald Trump. That depends on Venezuela. That depends on Brazil. That depends on
really
a lot
quickly,
of
Jeremy,
large countries.
So because you explained the price issues, I wanted to go back to these salary increases. I think in the Facebook video, you'll correct me, you were saying that they need to concentrate on asking for higher wages. But isn't higher wages one of the problems facing the government in Barbados? Like, so explain to me how it works.
No problem. So that's not. I actually don't think that we should let the wage rate rise. And I wasn't speaking specifically to public sector workers. I was trying to tell people you shouldn't worry about cost of living. You should worry about being able to be productive and therefore get more wages. That's not something, however, I'm advocating. I'm not advocating that the Mia Motley government say, okay, like Oprah, everybody gets a wage raise. I'm not saying that, because that honestly would lead to a cost of living increase in a few years. What I was saying is that people are focusing on the wrong problem. The wrong problem is cost of living. The right problem is, how do I, as an individual, get a wage increase or go out there and get more income? So I'm also championing entrepreneurship. I'm championing investing, finding new ways to invest on a private and public sector level. That's exactly what it was trying to get across. But it was comparing apples and oranges. Well, apples and apples, if you get where I'm coming from.
No problem. And let's get back to your new Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, who is now also the Finance Minister. Has she said anything yet to make you believe she's heading on the right path where your economy is concerned?
Well, this one might get me in trouble, but no, not yet. And I think she's been doing the right things thus far in terms of how she's tried to inculcate or tried to encourage confidence in the economy. Yes, the size of the cabinet, the ministerial cabinet, has been a challenging one to sell to Barbadians. And whereas, as you said earlier, she said she wanted to focus on efficiency, I think that's the right message to put out there. But in terms of the particulars, that is, how do we deal with our debt? They during the election were talking about debt reprofiling, and I wanted more details there because given where we are, given how many downgrades we've had as an economy, given the stagnation that we've had for a number of years, I was thinking to myself, well, we need a little more detail now because it's going to be very hard to reprofile. So maybe they're going to come up with more information. So insofar, I think what she's been trying to do is, again, to rally confidence, to make every Barbadian feel as if they have to be involved in this recovery, as opposed to government just being the ones that are supposed to lead this recovery. And insofar, people have been talking. There's been a lot more civic engagement. And that goes outside of economics. There's a confidence, there's an interest, there's an active interest in what's going on in Barbados. So again, I think it's the right start, but again, I'm giving them 100 days to see how they manage this and if they give way more detail as to the tough decisions that they're going to have to make, like reducing expenditure, which may very well lead to job cuts. But one would hope the private sector picks up the excess labor in time. I really don't know. So again, I'm giving them 100 days before I really begin to nail them to the cross, if they need to be nailed.
Really quickly, Jeremy, but the Prime Minister released the IMF report as one of the first things she did. Isn't that a good sign?
No, that's a great sign, but it's not something that hasn't been done before. But you see, again, politics was the name of the day. And I think the former government really wanted to hold back that dire IMF report because it was truthful to our situation. They wanted to hold it back before elections just to stand a fighting chance, because the narrative that they kept on pushing out there, this is the former government, was that Barbados was on the rebound. It was almost Trumpite, if you can go that way, where you're saying things that aren't necessarily reality just to get people to buy into it. So by releasing the IMF report, I think she's done her fiduciary and ministerial duties as normal. But what was not normal was the holding back or the redaction somewhat of this new IMF report that just came out.